Good evening and welcome to I'm Chris Parnell.
Reporting from Moscow.
Tbilisi.
Times Square.
May your dreams be your only boundaries in life.
Hello, and welcome to GHS-TV's award-winning talk show, Crosstalk. I'm your host, Kaif Gilani, joining you from the Memphis Zoo. On today's show, we will be joined by experts who know all about the ins and outs of the Memphis Zoo. They will talk about everything it takes to maintain all 76 acres of land here and behind-the-scenes details of what it's like dealing with the animals. I'm now joined by Sheri Pearson, Director of Retail Sales for the Memphis Zoo. Welcome, Sheri.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Glad to have you. So what building are we in right now?
We're in the Elephant's Trunk Zoo gift shop. It's our #1 volume shop. It does almost 70% of our volume. And this is where we have a selection of merchandise to cover the entire zoo, no matter what your interests are.
So are there other gift shops in the zoo?
Yes, we have 3 others. We have the Bamboo Shop, which focuses on pandas and the Chinese culture, anything Chinese. And as you know, the Memphis Zoo is one of 4 zoos in the United States that has pandas. So that's a big deal for us. Yes. And then we have Northwest Passage, which focuses on polar bears, grizzly bears, wolves. And we also have stingrays with the marine life and our stingray exhibit attached to the stingray exhibit.
Okay. So what is your role as the Director of Retail Sales?
Well, I function as buyer and as director of the management of our shops and our associates, and creating a team environment for all of us to work together for retail sales.
Can you describe that environment you're talking about? What is the best environment?
A happy, friendly environment that when our visitors walk in, we greet them, we make them feel special. They're here for the day. They're going to have fun with their families and friends, and we want to be part of that experience. And then help them find something to take home to remember their day.
Exactly what they're looking for.
Yes.
Okay, so now why don't you tell me, how do you decide which items to have in each gift shop? I mean, it's such a variety and so many items you must be looking through.
Well, #1, you start with history. You always have last year, the year before. What did our customers respond to? What was the big thing? And then you have to keep up with the new trends and the new exhibits. What's next? What's coming next? For instance, this spring we focused on bird merchandise for our Memphis Zoo Takes Flight exhibit. And it's, we focused on plush animals and birds, and they're doing quite well. The kids really love them when they come in after seeing the bird show, and they get excited about that.
Oh, okay. So I was just wondering, you brought up the birds being a spring item. Are there any other featured items for this spring?
Well, there's a new item that's been really hot with us. We got it in about a month ago, and we've had like a 75% sell-through.
Wow.
And that is a plush animal that reverses to a completely different animal. So you get 2 animals in one.
Okay.
And the kids have really responded, and they love it.
And this is a plush, like a stuffed?
Okay. It's not actually stuffed. It's more like a hand puppet. It reverses,
okay.
but it is a plush animal. And it's in our largest selling category of merchandise, plush. That's our #1 seller.
So now that's one of the newer hot items, but
Right.
what is the best overall best-selling item that you guys have at the Memphis Zoo?
It's panda plush.
Okay.
Panda bears #1 items consistently, month after month. And it can change which panda it is depending on what time of the year it is and what promotions we do. But #1 is always panda. And within our top 6 items, selling items, within our 10 top sellers, 6 of them are panda-related merchandise.
Ah, I see. So you know, you're here all the time and you're working with all the gift shops. So as a director, what's your personal favorite item?
Personal favorite item I just happen to have here. These are old flip-flops that have been hand-carved into animals. And this came about as a conservation effort, actually, in East Africa. Flip-flops were just taking over the beaches. They just showed up. They were killing marine life. And a company came up with the idea to collect all these old flip-flops and have local artists create animals. Wow. And it is my all-time favorite. We have all of the African animals that they hand carve. And they have collected over 500,000 flip-flops at this point, cleaning up the beaches on the coast of East Africa.
So now this is a collection that actually helps the environment and helps the world. Are there any other collections that will actually, your purchase will actually help a certain cause?
Yes, we're always looking for opportunity for conservation efforts, and we're always looking for those. And that's the one that the ocean soul is what we're focused on right now.
Okay. So now, why do you love your job so much? What's your favorite part? What do you love most about it?
Oh, the emotion, the kids, and how happy they are when they come in. A lot of times the family will stop on their way into the zoo. We're right at the front gate. Okay. And they will purchase things they need for the day. Maybe they forgot their sunglasses. Right. Maybe it's cooler than they expected, so they'll buy a sweatshirt or sunblock to keep the sun off. And then they will come back on their way out, and they will try to find an item that will help them remember their day at the zoo, their favorite animal. Usually it's their favorite animal. Right. And they'll buy a plush item, or they're looking for toys. And we sell a lot of candy. They're always hungry.
Oh, you guys sell candy as well?
Oh, yes. Okay. And it's just watching the kids, their reactions, and making them happy, and actually interacting with the kids and asking them what was their favorite animal for the day. Right.
So now I think I would already be able to guess that the kids' favorite items would be the toys and the plushes and whatnot. But what about the adults? What do they usually buy when they come in here?
T-shirts. Our #2 category of merchandise after plush are T-shirts. Okay. It's our between kids and adults. For adults, that's a way to remember their day also, because our T-shirts are zoo related. We'll go after certain animals. We'll do our zoo sayings. Most of our souvenirs are pictures of our own animals. We like to give our guests something that they saw at our zoo. So we have photographs that we use for souvenirs and T-shirts, and they're Memphis Zoo animals.
Okay, great. Now I know what to get when I come by next time. Thank you so much, Sheri. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
When we return, we will learn about everything it takes to maintain the zoo grounds when Kevin Baker, the horticulture foreman, joins us. Stay tuned.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Ooh, yeah. You!
Your fault. You.
My fault?
Your fault. Your fault.
You're right.
What?
It's my fault.
What do you mean your fault?
Just the two of us.
You're right, it's my fault.
We can make it if
Maybe both of us?
Maybe just you.
just the two of us. Building.
We're now joined by Kevin Baker, the horticulture foreman for the Memphis Zoo. Welcome, Kevin.
Good morning. Thank you.
So tell me, what is horticulture?
Horticulture at the Memphis Zoo is 55 acres of landscaping and landscape beds. Anything that is green, I'm responsible for, not only growing and maintaining, but mowing grass, watering, irrigation is all my responsibility. We actually, at the Memphis Zoo, we mulch all of our landscape beds, and this year we put down over 250 yards of mulch, and with that, that's about 12 dump trucks.
Wow.
Of mulch that we put down every year at the Memphis Zoo. Yes.
So what are your duties and responsibilities as the horticulture foreman?
My responsibilities are to ensure that our crews are running efficiently, to take care of the landscape beds, weeding, planting annual flowers every year, and we also assist inside the exhibits where the animals are upon their request, different landscape projects.
So you're also working with the animals in their habitats, kind of. Do you have to kind of make them feel in their habitat as they would in the zoo?
We do. We work with the keepers in their habitats. Of course, the animals are kept outside while we're doing work, but we look at the different plant materials that are allowed in the exhibits because some animals will not adapt to certain plants.
Right.
They're not good for them.
Right. So, you know, tell me about some of the challenges of your job in particular.
Well, the bigger challenges at the Memphis Zoo are, of course, when it's busy, there's a lot of people here, so it's scheduling.
Right.
And my team will come in at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, usually 6 in the morning is their shift starting time before the crowds arrive to get a lot of the work done. Because once the afternoon hours get here, it's very busy, and we try to stay away as much as possible.
Right.
Off the main areas.
So what times are your main hours that you guys would be working?
Well, we work a 6 to 2 shift in the summertime. The bulk of the time in the morning is spent in the public areas. After lunch, we'll be behind the scenes doing some work also.
And now you said your crew, how many people are actually in this crew? How many staff do you have that help you to maintain the grounds? Because I know the park's very big.
Very big. We have a crew, we have 14 employees in horticulture. And that includes groundskeepers. Those are the people that do the weeding and they plant the flowers. And we have crews that cut the grass and manicure the bushes.
So now, the weather in Memphis is very crazy and changes all the time. How do you adapt, kind of? How do you get through the Memphis weather and still go through the complications of your job?
Sure. This time of year is our rainy season, spring. So we'll always, we try to schedule not around the rain, but with the rain projected, and we'll have projects that we'll do inside the buildings when it's raining. Also, because of the cold weather patterns we have here, we have to watch that very closely so that we plant according to the temperature changes.
Right. So how does the cold weather put you back? Is that a...
It delays your planting.
Okay.
You can't plant certain plants if it's above freezing.
Okay.
Typically, yes.
And now, how did you become involved? How did you get this position of horticulture foreman at the Memphis Zoo?
Actually, my career started 20 years ago, and prior to that I was in the hotel business, but I was tired of being inside, and I asked my wife, what would you like to do for a second career? And she said to me, you like cutting your grass. So I decided, why not landscaping? So I've been landscaping and construction for over 20, 25 years now.
Can you describe to me one of the more interesting projects that you've been a part of?
We're sitting here. This is our bird show, and a year ago it was a flat space, and now you've got the stage and the landscaping,
right?
And it's one of our newer exhibits.
So can you take me through the process of kind of how you would go about creating the landscape and designing it, and then actually putting that into place?
Sure. You look at the atmosphere you're going to be in, and you look at the different angles that you want to project landscaping to be nice, and you just have a vision, you know, and I've told people I have a vision, and that's what it takes. It's a vision sometimes to see what fits and what looks nice.
Okay.
Yes.
What's your favorite part about the job, though?
My favorite part about the job is I have an opportunity to spend time in the public areas, and I'll walk around and see people smiling, the young people.
Right.
That's the neatest thing.
Now, are there certain times where you actually get to work with the animals at all?
No, not at all. No, usually animals are off limits, you know, for us, for the most part. They really are. Safety.
Right. Now, when you're dealing with making sure that the animals feel at home and in their habitats, what if there's a mistake? I mean, what kind of dangers are there?
Well, they could get sick if they ate, you know, bark off a tree or ate a bush or berries off a bush. They could get very sick.
Okay. Well, you know, thank you so much, Kevin, for joining us, and we appreciate the time you spent.
Thank you very much.
Players on your mark.
You roll out at the dawning of the day. Heart racing as we made your little getaway. But there's always a scar. When you fall down, we lose our way. We get back up again. It's never too late to get back up again. And one day you won't shine again. You may be knocked down, but not out forever. Lose our way. We get back up again. It's never too late to get back up again. And one day.
No way. Hi. Hi. Shine, come on and let it shine. Light me up, make me feel alive. Hi. She actually said hi to you. Shine on me today.
Welcome back to Crosstalk. I'm your host, Kaif Gilani. On today's show, we've been joined by many professionals here at the zoo. We've learned about the souvenirs you can buy, as well as all the things that go into maintaining the landscape at the zoo. Right now, animal keeper Brian Summerford joins us. Hey, Brian.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm pretty well. How are you?
Good.
So tell me, what animals are you responsible for?
My primary position at the zoo is called an aquarist. The aquarist is responsible for all the animals in the aquarium, which includes the fish, but as well as some reptiles and amphibians. Okay. I also am trained in a couple other areas, which includes the reptile house, which we're in right now, and I also am trained in the nocturnal building, so I can help out as well. We like to do a lot of cross-training here in our department, and so we can help out when people are out on vacation and things like that. But day-to-day, I'm in the aquarium most of the time.
Okay, okay. So now tell me about your typical day.
I don't really know if you have a typical day here at the zoo. Every day is different. I could walk into having to do a procedure on a crocodile, for instance, or you know. But typically in the aquarium, I'm responsible for the maintenance of the aquarium. So we come in, make sure all of our equipment's working. Our pumps and stuff are life support for the fish. We got to make sure they're running and all that's good. So there's a lot of maintenance involved in that.
Okay.
Make sure the tanks look good for the public. Make sure all my fish look healthy and things like that. Yeah. So that's your basic thing. But then you know you're also doing water chemistry in the day to make sure all the tanks are running properly and things like that. And then of course there's the husbandry aspect of feeding the fish and you know any kind of medical aspect that needs to be done that day as well. But no 2 days are the same around here.
So you were saying that you actually cross-train with some of your other animal keepers at the zoo.
Right.
So how is that done?
Our zoo is broken up in different departments. We call them zones. Our zone is basically, it's called the central zone, and that is reptiles, nocturnal, and aquarium. So not all keepers do cross training, but I was a keeper that was, you know, elected to do that. I do have experience in the other areas, so it was just kind of natural to cross train me in those. So it's just, you know, learning the procedures there. You're kind of like the backup. You don't do the same things they do every day, but you come in, just help as needed.
Okay, so you're mentioning these zones earlier. Can you tell me more about how those zones are broken up?
It's just broken up. In the zoo, there's 3 different zones. It's just based on the areas of the zoo. You have west, central, east. Okay. And it's just based on location and, you know, they
So do
decided.
you find that oftentimes people that are in the same zone will kind of help each other out with theirs?
Exactly. So like in the East Zone, you have people that would help in, say, Teton Trek, and then they can also go and help out in China or
Okay.
primates, things like that.
Okay. So now you were also mentioning the fact that you feed, not only do you feed the animals, but you would also do some medical procedures, etc. So I had no idea that animal keepers actually did this.
We do
Can you
have a
talk about
vet
that?
staff that is responsible for the big procedures.
Right.
I'm not going to go do surgery on one of my animals, but we're there to assist, and mainly if there's a medication that needs to be given to the animal.
Okay.
So with fish, you're basically adding stuff to the water and then doing water changes and things like that. And then also if there was a procedure at the vet hospital, we'd be there to help out if need be. But we do have a vet staff on grounds that do most of the medical stuff.
So how often do you get to feed the animals?
It depends on the animal, but fish don't eat every day. They're cold-blooded, so their metabolism's different. So we feed those basically 3 times a week for most fish, but it depends on the species. Some fish eat every day.
Okay, so now tell me about kind of how a typical zookeeper, people think, oh, it's just this, this, and that. How is your job different than what everyone thinks your job is?
A lot of people think that our job is to play with animals. Everybody wants to get, a lot of people want to get involved in the zoo because they want to have close encounters with animals. And believe it or not, we don't have, depending on the animal that you work with, you don't actually have close encounters with it. You're shifting it from one cage to the next or things like that. But you would have like training and stuff like that. But say, a lot of people think it's playing with animals. A lot of it's cleaning. Cleaning up after animals.
Oh, okay.
So that's a lot different. People get a rude awakening. You're also working out in the elements. We're here every day of the year. Animals have to eat every day. So that's a little different.
So what's your favorite part? What do you love most about your job?
Well, I've always loved animals. It's something I've always wanted to do. But I do like that there's no strict routine. Every day may be different.
Okay.
And I still walk into this place feeling like the first day I came. I've been a zookeeper for almost 10 years now, and I still love walking into the zoo. And I never know what I'm going to walk into.
Exactly.
And that's kind of fun. You know your animals, you get a relationship with them, and that's great. But no 2 days are often the same, and I like that aspect of it.
Right. So tell me, you're saying no 2 days are the same. So what has been your craziest day or most interesting experience?
Probably one of the most interesting and craziest things I would do here, I'm also responsible for keeping our 2 Nile crocs that are off exhibit now. We will have Nile crocs in our new Zambezi River Hippo exhibit, but they're off exhibit and I am responsible for caring for them.
Okay.
Well, as you know, if we have to do a medical procedure or a physical on a croc, you actually have to jump on that croc. And so that's probably one of the wildest things I do. It's a team of people restraining a crocodile, and that can be pretty dangerous and exciting, but it's definitely different than most jobs.
Now tell me, did you always want to be a zookeeper, and did you know that's what you wanted to do?
For as long as I can remember, I've wanted to work with animals. I may have not known when I was really young that it would be a zookeeper is what I do, but I've always had a connection with animals, and it's something I've always just been drawn to. It's just natural for me. So yeah, it's just something that's always just been there, and I'm lucky to have this job. It's definitely a fun job.
So how does someone set themselves up to become a zookeeper if they'd like to?
Different people do it different ways. A lot of people have a background in biology or an animal-related field, so you would go to school for that. And really you have to kind of work your way in. So by volunteering or getting an internship, that's really important. And depending on what type of animals you want to work with, some of that may change because like if you want to work with big cats, it would be good to go to a big cat sanctuary and volunteer and train so you can get that experience to get a paid job doing that.
So what would you recommend for those who want to become zookeepers or animal keepers in the future?
The best thing to do is go to your zoo. Try to talk to a zookeeper, see if you can set it up. And I tell everybody, I've talked to a lot of kids that wanted to be a zookeeper. I'm like, volunteer first. Before you go to school to do it and all that, try to get volunteering so you know what it really is about. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people may have a misconception of what the day-to-day routine of a zookeeper is. So it's good to kind of get involved. Try to get in some areas, even if it's not the animal you want to work with long term. try it out, see if you're going to want to do it. That's a lot of hot days, a lot of cold days, outside in the elements, things like that. See if you really want to commit your life to doing that. But it's a very rewarding career to get to work with these exotic animals.
So now let me ask you you were mentioning hot days, cold days. When the weather changes, how do you have to adapt to that for the animal safety?
Lots of layering for your own clothes and trying to figure out, because like I said, I could be in this building, which is quite warm, and then have to go outside in the winter and it'd be cold, so you have to adapt to that. But also, as far as the animals go, if you work with the animals outside, the care of the animals can change quite a bit. Say in the winter, you're having to keep them inside more for their safety, and they can get kind of frustrated and things like that. Right. So you do a lot more training and a lot more enrichment for them to keep them from getting, frustrated from being inside or something like that. On the hot days, they do different things like animal misters and stuff to keep them cool.
Oh, okay.
One to stay out for the public and things like that. So they do a lot of fun stuff.
Okay.
And it's usually involved in enrichment, which is very important to the animals.
Okay. So now last question I'm going to ask you, what's your favorite animal that you actually take care of, and why do you love taking care of them?
I get asked this question a lot, and I take care of so many different animals, so that can change. But one of my favorite animals that I work with that I'm most passionate about is called a striped newt. It's a very small amphibian.
Okay.
And the reason this is so important to me, it's one of my big projects. We're actually breeding these for reintroduction to the wild. They're critically threatened in the wild. They haven't been listed as endangered yet, but they're disappearing from their habitats. So we're actually breeding them here and raising up their babies and releasing them into the wild in Florida. And I think it's an amazing project because you don't often get to healthy animals in the wild as well as in the zoo. So it's a pretty good project.
Wow, that's so awesome. I had no idea you did that.
We've released probably about 500 baby newts so far, and the project's going well, and we're really excited
Congratulations.
about it.
I hope that continues as well.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Brian, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Home to more than 3,500 animals, the Memphis Zoo is always a great place to visit. To learn more about the Memphis Zoo, visit them at www.memphiszoo.org. And thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Crosstalk. If you'd like to learn more about our program, visit GHS-TV.org or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram for news, updates, and behind-the-scenes extras. From all of us here at GHS-TV, thanks for joining us for this week's episode of Crosstalk, and we'll see you next time.